back in the studio with Kimberly, who's going to bring us up to date on what's happening in philanthropy.
Great.
Welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Happy New Year, everybody. So I just thought, you know, in January it's a new year, so it's a good time to sort of refresh everyone's memory and just sort of update on what is philanthropy, who am I, that kind of thing. So I wanted to just sort of update residents, especially our newer residents.
Right.
So again, my name is Kimberly Nelson and I'm in the philanthropy office. And so the philanthropy office is the office that really deals with things related to our mission and our charitable giving, and things centered around our nonprofit status. And so any fundraising that's done through our office are things that we sort of follow the guidelines as set forth by the IRS and send letters and that kind of thing. So that is helpful. And then I also at this time of year have residents who've been here a little while also want to know, when are we doing fundraising this year?
Oh, okay.
And what do we fundraise for? So I thought I would give a little highlight, especially for new residents, to let them know that there are two main things that our office fundraises for every year. And they're both very central to the Erickson Living mission and standard throughout all of the Erickson communities. And we raise money that stays at Green Spring. And I think that's really important for residents to know.
Yes, it is.
That while we are part of Erickson Living as a bigger company, Green Spring is its own independent 501c3, and so all fundraising done at Green Spring stays at Green Spring. And I think that's an important point to make sure residents know.
Right.
Now, our first fundraiser that comes up this year is in the spring, usually is around mid-March, and that is our scholarship fund.
Right.
Which, for residents who are new, this is a fund where we give $10,000 college scholarships to high school seniors who have worked at Green Spring 1,000 hours or more. And in order to get 1,000 hours, it usually means they've worked here 1.5 years to 2.5 years, depending how many hours they have worked, in addition to going to high school and all of their activities. And so there is a process and an application for that, but that is our first sort of spring fundraiser.
They also have to maintain decent grades.
They do have to have certain grades and a certain GPA and certain grades in every class. And the reason the committee really said, you know, it's not just that they want a good GPA, because you could have a 3-point GPA, but then flunk out your senior year with senioritis. So we really wanted a balance of, you know, a solid grade point average for a student, but also that they don't get senioritis and then mess up in the end.
The individual class grades are important also.
Yes, so we look at both of those, and it is a balance, because we also know that the student who is sort of that straight A student probably has opportunity and scholarships already coming at them. But that C plus B student who is really trying to make it work, they're the ones that in many cases need a little extra helping hand to get them started, oftentimes at Nova, and then they transfer to another school. So that program is really very exciting, and we do not have the number of students yet. It's still very early in the process.
And most of these students are our waiters, aren't they?
Most of them do come from dining, yes. We have only had once or twice where a student worked in another department, and that is because the dining schedule for the servers works very well with their school schedule. Yes. So once we know more on the program, we'll get more information out. So look for that usually in March.
Okay.
All right. And then our next big fundraiser is in the fall. So that's in September, where information usually comes out the end of July, early August, and it's our Benevolent Care Fund Gala. And so the Benevolent Care Fund is really the rainy day fund for you, the resident.
Right.
It is really such a wonderful safety net.
It is.
For residents and also for families to know that the community, the community gives and we all together give to help each other. It's really a great helping hand, rainy day fund.
It's one of those comforts that we know that even if our finances get tough, we're not going to be kicked out.
Yes. And it's really, you don't usually think that that's going to happen because you all have saved really well, and you think you're going to be okay.
Sure.
And you just never know.
That's right.
You just don't know. All of a sudden you're 102 and you think, I didn't quite save long enough.
That's right. And there are people who live to be that long around here.
Yes,
more
indeed.
and more every year.
Yes. So I wanted residents to just have a summary and a highlight of those are the 2 campaigns that our office raises money for every year. And one is in the spring and one is in the fall. So keep that in mind, and we'll get information out if folks want to do monthly billing or one-time giving. But just those are the 2 main things that are charitable in nature that we raise money for. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about today is really not directly related to philanthropy. It's really about fraud prevention.
Okay.
And scams and things that you hear about. Because our office has really sort of taken a personal touch to think we really want to make sure we're partnering with security and social work and continue to get the word out. And so I had a resident send me this scam just last week, and I wanted to just sort of highlight it. Now, I don't think this is a scam that necessarily would impact our residents at Green Spring, but it may impact your family members or loved ones or friends who don't live in a community like this. And so I really wanted to share so that you were aware of that. And so this, I'm going to highlight. So this is a scam where someone calls you at your home and says they're from, a mail delivery service, express couriers, but not UPS. But sort of a courier service, and says, we have a package for you. We need a signature. Is someone going to be home? And so you, of course, say, oh, yes, I'm going to be here. And they show up with flowers or wine or some beautiful package that you go, oh, wow. And then they ask for a signature, but then they also ask for a credit card. Because they say because there's liquor involved that they have to prove that the person is over 21 and they have to have a verification. And so it's only $3.95. And so, it may catch you off guard. And you go, oh, okay. And you do the little service charge. It's only $3. And then all of a sudden, a day later, your bank account has been wiped out, because they've then copied all that information from the credit card and charged up things from your bank.
That's one I haven't heard of.
Yes, and so I said, I don't know that it's one we would hear here because we have security in the front desk. However, you may have friends out in the community.
Right, very easily.
Very easily, you could just, if you're not thinking about it, you think, oh, it's a beautiful basket and wine, and oh, someone sent it to me, and you don't necessarily question it right away because it catches you off guard. So that was one. And then another one that a resident mentioned, just to be aware of, is by our front desk and by our mailbox areas, we have that blue bin for recycle. And it was just a word of caution to say, when you're putting stuff in the recycle, be aware that that isn't shredded. It's just, again, sent to the recycle bin. But if you're putting things in there that has your name and address on it, that could then be snatched by people who do dumpster diving and things like that at other recycle places and trash places, to try to get your identity or fill out a postcard that you maybe didn't rip up or that kind of thing. So when you're just putting things in recycle, whether it's here or somewhere else, either mark out your name or make sure things are shredded or ripped or something like that, so that your address doesn't accidentally get sent out. And especially when there's those little postcards that are pre-done and you fill it out and get the free magazine or get the this or that. So make sure when you have those that you also keep track of that. So that was just two little sort of safety and security things to mention as we think of the new year. And then do we have time for another quick update?
1 minute, I think.
1 minute. So I have lots of questions about who's coming in Philanthropy, Kimberly, to help you in the office. That desk has been empty for months, and you're here working way too late, trying to do 2 jobs, and you're right. But, you know, the holidays have been a busy time, but also a busy time where people aren't always looking for jobs and that kind of thing. So, but we have had first interviews. We've had second interviews. We had 4 very strong candidates.
Wonderful.
And I would expect that we'll be making a decision later this week.
Wonderful.
And hopefully within a few weeks, we will have a new face in the office. And until I know for sure who, I don't want to say.
Right.
But I wanted residents to know that the process has been moving along, even though a little slowly because of the holidays. And that we did get through second interviews just yesterday, and now we're working on sort of fine-tuning and making decisions, and hopefully by the end of January we will have someone in the Philanthropy office to welcome and for residents to also get to know and help answer questions.
And you will have to tell that person that they have to keep the candy bowl full.
Of course. We will definitely do that. Definitely. And that means you must come visit them
That's right.
as well.
That's right.
More than just to get a piece of candy. You must come in, introduce yourself, say hello, and welcome them to Green Spring.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you so much.